as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand.
Welcome back to Marbella now. My name is Nicole King. This week we were going to be recording our show from the lovely Italian restaurant just round the corner from here, Casa Tua. But with these 2 weeks of lockdown for anything that is not essential, we've come to record the show and welcome our guests from Parque La Constitución. A lovely park. The playground bits, the kids are cordoned off, but at least we can sit here in the park, enjoy the fresh air, and what more suitable surroundings to chat with Angela Lafferty. She is our United Nationalities of Marbella Ambassador for Sustainability and has been very busy meeting up with people since our United Nationalities Marbella event on the 27th of October last year. Amazing, Angela, last year.
I know,
October.
already.
Oh, now we're at the end of January.
Yeah, it's flown by actually. Apart from a little break at Christmas, I have been busy most days actually, just keeping on the effort to connect with people that I met at United Nationalities and move things forward.
It was nice to see. I know that with Georgina we commented in the 2016 event that there wasn't really that much interest in the environment, sustainability, and we did the event with Arboretum that year, which you're very involved with
that's
now.
That's how I discovered Arboretum. Yeah.
But it's funny to see that over these last years, it has taken such a bigger standing within our international community as well as the Spanish.
I mean, it's grown. I think a lot of movements have grown independently, like the beach cleaning, for example. I think that started up about 4 years ago, and maybe it's just I'm discovering more things that I didn't know about before, but there are definitely more environmental movements now than there were before. The trick now is, I think, bringing everyone together and trying to achieve something together.
And I think that has really seen a difference with that as well since the United Nationalities. Yes. That a lot of people contacted you afterwards from, as we hoped.
Yeah, exactly. I've got quite a few things to tell you about that have happened since then. But just, first of all, I'd just like to remind everyone watching that last week there was a really important date that wasn't marked at all in the media. It wasn't reported on at all, and that was the day, the 21st of January 2020 was the day that Spanish government declared a climate emergency. And of course that then became overshadowed by the COVID emergency that happened just a few weeks later, and then, you know, within 6 weeks we were in lockdown, and we've been fighting that pandemic ever since. The Arboretum actually brought this to everyone's attention last week because it wasn't reported anywhere else. And the reason I think it's so important is that emergency, despite now being in the background, is actually much bigger than the COVID emergency. It's going to have much longer lasting impacts, and I think it's essential not to forget that it's there. For example, in Spain, one of the biggest threats from climate change is going to be increasing water scarcity. So like a lack of fresh water for drinking, but also for irrigation for agriculture. And desertification of the land, where it's actually rendered completely useless. And that's something that experts are saying is going to affect up to 70% of the country within 10 to 20 years, so that's really, really alarming. And it's obviously going to lead to a loss of livelihoods, jobs, and even lives ultimately.
Is there a plan? Is there any way that this can be slowed down, avoided?
The government, when they declared this climate emergency, they did sign up to a whole series of targets of producing new legislation. To be honest, I don't think they've kept many of those promises, and it's all fallen behind. Obviously, I mean, understandably because of the COVID emergency, but it's something that can't be forgotten about, and I just wanted to remind people that it was still there.
I think that during the lockdown period, that 2.5 months, saw a big change in nature. Animals reappeared where before we've had them banished. The colour of the clarity of the water changed, so it does show that things can change quite quickly.
I think that's the one thing I've taken from the COVID emergency, is that if we want change, we can actually make it happen overnight. It can be done. It needs the political willpower, I think, to make it happen. And obviously people in general need to be engaged. The society needs to be engaged with it. But I think these kind of things, the big decisions, come from above. But it can be done, so that's the positive thing to take from it.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. So tell us a bit now about the things you've been up to, or the contacts that you've been following up through.
Yeah, so one of the things I spoke about at United Nationalities was Refill Marbella, which is a project that it's a UK initiative that I'm trying to bring here to Marbella. And basically, just to explain what it is to people who don't know, is to try and encourage the use of these reusable water bottles instead of buying these when you're out and about on the go. And basically all it is an app called Refill, and you can download it on your iPhone or on Android, and when you're in the app, it's just a map basically which shows you the refill stations, as they're called, which are the places that you can, if you run out of water when you're out and about, you can go in and refill. And often it's fountains, public fountains, but it can also be businesses, cafes, restaurants. And I'm so pleased to say that 2 lovely businesses in Marbella have signed up to be refill stations. One of them is Ladybug Coffee Roasters. It's actually not far from here. It's underneath the Hotel El Faro.
I haven't heard of it.
It's quite new. It opened at the start of the pandemic, believe it or not. Very bad timing, but they're doing okay despite everything. It's a lovely little place where you can get coffee and sort of organic breakfasts and lunches, healthy food. But they already serve tap water on the tables, filtered tap water, I might add, because they have a filter behind the counter. But they've also now, they're very committed environmental people, actually, the couple that run it. And they've committed now to anyone who wants to go in and refill their water bottle. Even if they're not a customer, you literally can walk in and off the street. And the other one is called Contracata, which is a wine and tapas bar in the Alameda area of Marbella. So both of those places, I'm really happy that they've signed up. And of course, if anyone else is watching and has a business that you'd like to...
And that's all they have to do is just say that if someone comes in and says, please refill my water, they will.
Yes, and in fact, anyone can actually go into the app and upload themselves as a refill station. But obviously, I'm happy to do it for anyone who wants to. I'm happy to grow the refill movement in Marbella.
So the idea is to promote having your own bottles of water that you then go and fill up somewhere as opposed to...
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, the amount of plastic bottles that are sold, I think I've said this before, every single minute in the world, 1 million plastic bottles are sold, which is a staggering amount if you think about it, and where do they end up? And the consumption of bottled water in Spain is almost 4 times as much as it is in the UK. It's a very high, it's 134 litres per person per year, which is a lot. So what I'm trying to do with this is, reduce the reliance on plastic water bottles when people are out and about. So carry one of these. Also to do with refill, after I spoke about it at United Nationalities, a few people came to me afterwards, and I'm still in touch with them, very interested in following that line, already thinking along the same lines as I was. One of them's Thompson Keating, who you know, and Lorraine Powell and Willem Falter
from the Rotary
Guadalmina. All 3 of those people already had thoughts about single-use plastics. I know Rotary Club Guadalmina has a project called End Plastic Soup. And Thompson, just in a personal sense, was very interested in, the same as me, ending the sort of reliance on single-use plastic water bottles. So together we've been working on a couple of ideas. One of them is to do with the golf clubs along the coast. It's something we'll probably try out in 1 or 2 pilot clubs, and then if it works out we could approach all the golf clubs in the whole Costa del Sol and roll it out. But basically most of the golf clubs provide their members or players, whatever you call it, with a couple of these bottles of water on the golf buggies to go around the course. And obviously that adds up throughout the days, weeks and the year, hundreds, thousands of water bottles, single-use plastic. So the idea would really be to come up with a sort of branded bottle of similar dimensions that could fit in the golf buggy, and that would completely eradicate the reliance on single-use water bottles. So that's something we're working on. We haven't got the details sorted out yet.
I remember when Thompson was commenting that, and then we're thinking back to when we were looking for the bottles for our April United Nationalities, and you drink out of that bottle that you can't see through, but there are some people like myself, I like to see the content, so it's hard to find that combination that's not plastic, transparent, but not breakable as in glass, particularly if you're going to have it in a golf buggy.
I've spent a lot of time looking into all the alternatives. I myself have had a glass bottle, and that would be my preference, but to be honest, especially where children are involved, my experience is they smash. But perhaps it depends on exactly the bottle, so I've spent a lot of time researching it. I think what we might go towards is glass bottles with this kind of cover, so that it does protect it from being dropped, and that's where you can display logos of sponsors and things like that. So at the moment we're exploring the material of the bottle.
That sounds like like you're definitely going in the right direction. The End Plastic Soup event I went to a couple of years ago, because it's like a global incentive that Rotary are getting on board with.
Yeah.
But I know that Willem and the teams are very big on the plastics, and a lot of talk of a lot of the plastic waste actually coming from Miercoles, which led me to speak to Mohammed Rianikus, who at the time was the president of the Rotary in Miercoles, because if we can kind of stop from source,
Exactly.
because it's no good like one person do it. It's like we have to make a chain almost.
Yeah, I mean that's what Refill's trying to do, is to stop the water bottles at source. But you're right, a lot of the water that ends up, the rubbish that ends up in our beaches comes from other places. And there is a project about the Mediterranean. I can't recall the name of it right now, but there are. It's exactly that the rubbish that we end up with comes from other places. So we have to stop it at source, which means not always using it, not buying it in the first place.
See, that's a lot of the things we could probably help stop, as long as we don't play the game. We have to stop buying the product.
Yeah, I mean it's very difficult, because we all have busy lives with lots of things going on. I myself, I'm not perfect. I go to supermarkets, buy things that are wrapped in plastic. I wish I didn't, but to be honest, if you had to go around and buy everything without packaging, everything organic, it's not really possible in the systems the way our society is set up at the moment.
We need to go back to when my granny went shopping with a little trolley. Anyway, we're going to go to a commercial break, message from our sponsors, and we'll be back with Angela Lafferty in just a moment.
Hey, hey.
Sometimes it's nice to just get lost in the moment without a care in the world.
However, if something does come up and you find you're actually lost, it's also nice to know that you can call Linear Director to come and find you. Call Linear Director on 952 14 78 34 to see how they can better your life too. Judy likes to consider herself a clever young woman, which is why she thought very carefully before choosing her insurance company. Now that she needs it, she's jolly glad she chose Linear Director, as it looks as if she might have something better to do. Why don't you be clever, like Judy? Call Linear Director on 952 14 78 34 and see which policy is best for you.
Hi guys, Ross here from Hogan Stand. Proud to be a member of the Zero Hero campaign, and we recommend everybody. Nobody drives drinking. Everybody who drives a car doesn't have any alcohol in their system, and we're proud to sponsor the Zero Hero program.
Our welcome Zero Heroes. Come and visit us.
G-Wine is happy to be Zero Hero partner.
How cool is that? G-Wine.
Thank you.
That's
Clara
okay.
are proud to present Zero to Hero. Never drink and drive.
McNulty's is proud to be a Zero Hero partner.
Out of bounds, Zero Hero partners.
Here we are, sticker going on. Delighted to welcome everybody and to be part of the Zero Hero campaign. Delighted.
Zero Hero, welcome here at the Gaucho de Banús.
Hey, hey.
Obviously a big shame that our Zero Hero partners aren't open. We really hope that they will be back next week to more normality, fingers crossed. In the meanwhile, I'm back with the lovely Angela Lafferty, United Nationality Marbella Summit Sustainability Ambassador. She's a great team captain and doing a great job. We were talking before the break about this refill Marbella, the idea of getting places to offer to refill bottles of water for people, to not buy plastic, but far more of a challenge here, Angela, because you were saying that in the UK they take it that most people drink tap water, and that isn't the case here.
Yeah, so that's what when I started Refill Marbella here, I didn't account for the fact that, that a lot of people here just won't drink the tap water, and there's a huge mistrust around it. That idea has been in the back of my mind while I've been developing Refill Marbella, and just before, the few months before Christmas, after United Nationalities, I registered in a programme with Marbella Social Hub, which is an initiative from the Marbella Town Hall, which develops social enterprise ideas. And so I took my idea to them, and it turned out that in the end I've created a sort of overarching project which would Refill Marbella would be one small part of it, but the main bulk of that project would be to educate people, make them more aware about the benefits and environmental benefits of drinking tap water as opposed to other types of water. So it's a much bigger project that I think will keep me busy for years.
It will, because the thing is, it's nice because it encompasses everything that you are passionate about. Because
Yeah.
every time we talk about the water, and when I'm one of those ones, like, no, because I see all the lime scale that builds up in my kettle, and that worries me, that's going to build up in my kidneys, and this, and it's nice that you've then gone into all those different aspects.
One thing that I've thought about recently is that, you know, there's been a human settlement here in Marbella and the whole area for thousands and thousands of years, the Phoenicians, the Romans, and they've all drunk water from this area. I appreciate that now it goes through a treatment plant, but that's only to make it safer. But generally speaking, the water is the same water that the people have drunk for thousands of years, so there's no reason why it should have any negative impact on our bodies. But yeah, so Nuestra Agua is the name of the overarching project, and that refers to the fact that the water does actually belong to all of us, and it's something that over the course of the years when I work on this project, it's not just about bottled water anymore, it's about taking care of the water in this whole area that belongs to all of us. And like I mentioned at the beginning with the climate emergency, we need to protect that water resource, because otherwise we're going to ruin it with pollution, or it's going to run out and we're not going to have enough. It actually falls to all of us to start taking an active role in looking after the water.
So what would be the first steps? Obviously trying to avoid plastic, but what other steps would you recommend?
Well, I think we're going to be running awareness campaigns, like on social media, but also doing talks, interviews like this, just actually spreading the word about tap water. But one of the ideas that we did have within the project was to create a brand for Marbella water. It's been done in other places like Cádiz and Cordoba, other places in Spain too, but these are in Andalusia. And basically the ayuntamientos in those places have launched a design competition to come up with a logo for the new brand of water, and that it gives water, the tap water, a value. It removes the stigma of asking for it in restaurants. The idea would be that the logo would then be printed on the carafes, the jars, the jugs that you hand out in restaurants to serve tap water. So you could sort of, you know, ask for tap water without that stigma.
Absolutely fabulous. You're involved in other projects as well. You're very engaged with Arboretum. Again, our plants need the water, needs a good water. Plants going to have amazing vegetation here in the Costa del Sol. I mean, the fauna and flora are abundant. So that must be a closely knit project.
Honestly, all these different things that I'm involved in are all very related. We've set up in the last few months as well Ecologistas en Acción in Marbella. There was previously a branch in Estepona that the few of us belonged to, but because there was now enough of us in Marbella, we've set that up here as well. And that's working to protect the flora and fauna that we have already. The Arboretum is about growing our own food, but also...
Are there allotments available, or is it now all taken?
Generally the allocation of allotments happens in September, but at any point of the year people can put their names down. I'm not sure if there's any available or not, but always just get in touch with either me or the Arboretum directly to ask.
And what is the objective of Arboretum? How can our locals understand and take advantage of the facilities?
I think a first step would be just to actually come and see it. Of course, these next couple of weeks it's not really open for any old person to come in and visit, but generally it's a public park, the same as this one. Anyone can come in when the gates are open and just walk around and see the vegetables, the food growing, as well as everyone's own allotments. They also have surrounding the whole park. They're planting what they call an edible forest, which is native species of trees, but also things like avocados, lemon trees. But basically the idea that all the plants in the whole place are edible. So it's fantastic. And people, there is an event coming up on the 20th of February, of course dependent on the COVID situation, but it's a doors open day, which is fabulous. We've not had one of those for a couple of years, but it's always a great chance for anyone to come in, There'll be guided tours, there'll be activities for children, and it's a
It's
great
an
way to
ideal
find
spot
out.
for schools to go and take the kids to see basically what it's all about.
Well, that's something we'd like to, once the COVID situation is over, we can resume school tours and school sort of workshop days where they come and do projects throughout the day.
I don't know where you get the time. I mean, you're a mum, everything going on, but you're also at the Plastic-Free Seas. You've got involved with Joe and joining in that as well. Recently, just on a beach clean-up, which are great that they're still going on.
Yeah.
As it stands, a few more planned, I believe, also for the coming months.
Well, this is one of the things I spoke about at United Nationalities, was the idea that there are these, there's at least 2 beach clean-up operations that I know of, the Plastic-Free Seas and Me Moana. I think there's a lot of smaller initiatives that are also going on. The idea would be to sort of coordinate all of them, A, so the dates don't clash or the locations don't clash, but B, just to actually, I think by clubbing together we could get an even higher awareness of the cleanups that are going on and the need for it as well. So what I wanted to do was try and coordinate all the beach cleans that happen every month, but I think at the moment that is very difficult, so I'm going to look forward to the future in September. World Cleanup Day is on the 18th of September, and I think that would be the ideal chance to try and roll this out. There's so many groups in Marbella involved in environmental activity, but actually any group or even a school, anything, could organise their own cleanup event on that day. We could have 5, 10, 20, 100 events on the same day, and I would coordinate them all within the World Cleanup Day organisation webpage. So there'd be a map.
You better get going on that right now. It sounds a long way off, but it's just round the corner.
I know, and of course the summer, nothing much happens over the summer when you've got kids, because you've got to,
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, you've got till June.
This afternoon.
So I'm going to say, when you finish this interview, get home and get on it.
Well, there's a few organisations already committed to doing it. So Arboretum's one, they're going to organise a clean-up on that day. Plastic-Free Seas, of course, as well. Me Moana, I'm pretty sure will also be doing one on that day. And there's Marbella Activa, there's Generación Verde, Marbella Es Más. There's lots and lots of organisations, and again, if anyone's watching and wants to set one up, just get in touch with me and I'll coordinate it all together.
It sounds amazing. It's lovely to see that you really have got so involved, but more than that, that you're enjoying it so much. You're achieving things. Things are already moving forward and changing.
It feels slow sometimes, and I think it's especially slow because of COVID, but when you actually write down everything that's happened, it gives you a better feeling that something is happening. And actually this beach clean idea was your idea, if I remember. It's a seed that you planted in my head about a year ago, so that's actually thanks to you that it's coming together.
No, and I know the thing is, just from experience, when we all do it together, even if we do the same things, we all do it in different ways, so we're not in competition. We're basically just complementing each other.
Exactly.
So it's nice, as I say, to get an idea all the different groups are out there, so we can support all of them, because something's going to appeal more to one than another. Which is,
and it's also based on location as well. To me, it seems a bit nonsensical for people to be driving like 50, 60 kilometres in one day to clean up a beach, when actually the emissions they're coming from their car to get to that beach clean sort of override the good that they're doing by picking up rubbish. So in that sense, it'd be good to do things that are local, I think.
and it's nice to see that the local people do want to get involved, like yourself. A lot of times it's just not knowing what's going on, because I believe you've also had some people contact you, they've seen it through the United Nations or through the programme, which is really nice as well, to see that little by little the word's getting out there.
And that's to show that your idea of the grapevine and the joining the dots along the coast, it really is working, because as you say, someone, a lady that just recently arrived in Marbella one day switched on her TV, and I happened to be speaking at United Nationalities, so she got in touch with me because she was really keen to find out about environmental things, and I met her the very next day. She came along to a small reforestation project we were doing, and then the next day again she came along to a beach clean with Plastic-Free Seas, and I've seen her every month since then. So
that's right, with the reforestation, there's a couple of people apart from yourself who are very big on that at the moment, which I sent you the names for, because when it comes to it, once you hear something, you tend to hear more about it.
That's
right.
Once
it's in our wavelength or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. So I just want to talk to you about a couple of events before we finish up. There was one supposed to be happening this Sunday, and it was a protest march in Benavís, but it's having to be postponed. But I just want to mention it anyway so that people are aware of it, and they can find it. I'll always post things on the United Nationalities Facebook page. But there's a proposal to put in electricity pylons in Benavís, where the Castillo Montemayor is. It's a beautiful natural area, and they want to run these electricity lines right through it. The people that are setting up the protests have offered an alternative, which is to bury the cables under the road, so there's no need to cut down thousands of square metres of trees. So that if you are interested in that, just keep your eyes on the United Nationalities page, and
That's a
I'll
good one.
post it there. On the 20th of February, the next Beach Clean with Plastic Free season for Miercoles, 10 AM. And also the same day, an all-day doors open day, which I've already mentioned, at the Arboretum. If you want to know about any of these things, just look on either the Facebook pages of the organisations, or get in touch with me directly, or look on the United Nationalities Facebook page.
Said beautifully. What can I say? Angela, thank you so much. Lovely to catch up with you, especially here, outside in the park.
That's absolutely lovely.
Exactly, improvising, but hey, why not? That's what it's all about. Thank you for joining us for another Marbella Now. We're back tomorrow with more. In the meanwhile, take care of yourselves, be nice to each other. Y hasta mañana.
If we try.